What's going on, everybody? Ryan the Mighty Quinn here, the cornerman underscore MMA. Jake Paul, Tommy Fury just took place. Tommy wins the split decision. So, what did we see and where do we go from here with Jake Paul? I know everyone, that's what, Tommy Fury, obviously he's going to be sticking with boxing. He's going to continue to be groomed until he reaches his peak. So, Jake, let's see what we saw in the fight here. I felt Tommy laid back a lot because Jake did a really good job of establishing the center early on. Rounds 1 through 3. Actually, I thought Jake won rounds 1 through 3. We'll get into that in a little bit. But Jake did a great job of establishing the center, which is something that's fundamentally could be difficult sometimes for less experience. He also did a really good job of shelling up. What do I mean by shelling up? He was able to kind of like take his head offline. A lot of people were giving him crap. I saw, the hands are down, the hands are down. In boxing, there's probably a lot of MMA fans. In boxing, that's a little bit more acceptable because there's no kicks coming your way, and you have that guard here. So he did a really good job of shelling up. I did like how he saw Tommy. Tommy had a really open stance. Actually, I was really surprised how open Tommy's stance was. He did a really good job of noticing that and throwing that right hand to the body to try to score early on. He kind of went away from it the third round on a little bit, but Tommy got privy to it. So one thing I would say is that he didn't. I thought he should have jabbed a little bit more. Both fighters, I felt, should have jabbed a little bit more. Even though Tommy kept the volume up. But when he was throwing that big right hand, he was launching that thing. And actually, it wasn't bad looking. However, every time he threw it, every time he really threw any power punch, he's looking straight down at his toes. If he connected with one of those overhands like that, it might have been lights out because those were pretty forceful. So Jake's an athlete. But yeah, you can go back and watch fight. Literally every time he threw a power punch, he was looking down. When you throw those, he kept his head offline here. You take your head offline this way, but you keep your eye on the opponent. I try to look at their chest when I do that. Not this. So that was a couple things. That was that was forcing him to come up into headbutts. He wasn't seeing things which Tommy adjusted to. Tommy actually landed a pretty nice uppercut later on, and it ended up giving away points, so to speak. Now, one thing I do want to say before we go into it is I felt the referee was really trying to make this fight about him. He was a little quick with the penalties on both sides. I was like, what the heck is this? Maybe he felt he was quick with the penalty against Jake and he was trying to make up for it later. But either way, it really felt like that referee, and I know the announcers agreed with me, was really trying to make this fight about him. I thought it was unacceptable what he was doing. Now, Jake in the later rounds. So Tommy did a pretty good job adjusting. Like I said, his corner clearly saw that Jake was looking down. He was starting to land uppercuts and counter punches and throwing more volume than Jake. That was one thing he did throughout most of the fight. So that was kind of keeping Jake on his toes a little bit. He did a little bit more traditional boxing ish, with the adjustments as well as the volume and punches to try to score situations. And that's what won him the fight ultimately. Personally, I thought the fight was a draw leaning Jake, but I wasn't hemming and hawing when I saw that, when I saw the decision. Now, Jake kind of looked tired. He started pushing his punches, pushing his jabs. He no longer kept the center. He was kind of following Tommy around a little bit and painting himself into corners in the last few rounds, like rounds 5 through 8 or something like that. He did look tired and a little frustrated from Tommy's adjustments. He didn't really adjust in his own right, and I think ultimately that's what let the round slip away from him. He is a little bit bigger than Tommy. Maybe the weight cut, he was the smallest weight he fought at. Who knows? But overall, hey, listen, we wanted Jake Paul to fight a boxer. He did. I didn't. I thought he looked pretty good, especially in the first half. Now, I'm not a Jake Paul hater. I think the guy does show some athleticism. I know I had some questionable comments on his Anderson Silva fight, but so where does he go from here now? I know he's got a great wrestling background. I know he's signed with Professional Fighters League. Personally, I think that he should try to stick with boxing a little bit. Let the fans wait. Let everyone salivate on getting him to fight MMA. I think that he should try to take his way with boxing a little bit more. It's really difficult to train both. Anyone will tell you that it's really, really difficult to train both. What has Conor McGregor done since he fought Floyd Mayweather? And I think that, he can do both. If he's I don't really think at the same time though that he's really trying to do it to pursue a championship either, to be a full time fighter. He's a promoter and a great one at that. Look at that crowd. They announced this fight a month ago. Um, but his brand will get watered down if he keeps losing. So I think he really should decide to stick with one or the other, and I think he can do one or the other. I think he's going to be a much more successful mixed martial artist than CM Punk was. CM Punk was like a slap in the face to all aspiring martial artists, hardworking martial artists out there. Um, I think that I think that being that he's 26, he could still has room to grow in boxing. I think he will box again. There's always going to be those fights out there. But it's gonna be really interesting to see where he goes from here. I thought he handled this loss in stride. He said, "I'll be back." He didn't take away from Tommy. I thought that was really cool, and it's gonna be really interesting. Whatever happens, Joe. Maybe going to MMA right now, it distracts people from the loss. Who knows? So him and his team will figure it out. That's for sure. But very much looking forward to it. Let me know what you guys think.